Welcome, Dr. Myrvik. For those who may be hearing from you for the first time, just wanted to begin this discussion with maybe a brief introduction before we dive in.
Thank you for having me. My name is Matt Myrvik, as you said, and I am the clinical sports psychologist here at Children's, working within the sports medicine program. I work with athletes throughout the age range from as young as 8 years of age up till 18 with injuries, athletes who want to work better. So pretty much each and every day, that's what I do.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us for such an important discussion. Excited to dive in. So I will kick it off with the first question.
Sound good?
As we're getting closer to Briggs and Al's run and walk, some of our participants may need some motivation to get to the finish line. Personally, one way that people can get motivated is to look at the benefits of running and walking, or even physical activity in general. Can you tell us some of those benefits?
I think when you think about that question, one of the most obvious things that you think about are the physical advantages that go with being more physically active. What we do know is that being more physically active has been shown to increase brain health, weight management. It's been shown to reduce disease risk, headaches, strengthen bones and muscles. It's been shown to improve our abilities to do things throughout the day, make them easier. And so I think one of the ways that you can work to improve that motivation is to just look at some of the physical benefits of being more active.
Besides the physical benefits, are there other benefits to physical activity?
So I think that's a great question, and it's one that's a little bit near and dear to me as a psychologist. So besides the physical benefits, this is a little bit of the area that a lot of people don't know, is that there's a lot of research out there to show that being physically active has tremendous benefit to our psychological and emotional well-being. It's been shown to reduce anxiety and depression. There's studies out there that have actually shown that's just as effective as medications in milder symptoms. It can reduce stress. It can increase our ability to cope with stress. Outside of the mental health realm, it has been shown to increase our ability to be more assertive. It can increase confidence, body image, increase our energy, increase your ability to have self-control. So in addition to a lot of the physical benefits I mentioned earlier, there is a high degree of other benefits along the psychological and mental or emotional well-being realm.
A laundry list of benefits. That was
Yes.
a lot of really wonderful benefits you just listed. Are there any recommendations as to how much physical activity is needed to be beneficial?
So we often think more is better, and that can be true, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But we've actually seen that any physical activity has value. A brief walk has been shown in the moment to increase mood and energy. We've seen that a 10-minute walk or aerobic activity can equal positive mood. But the ideal range for longer term benefits is looking at doing it about 3 times per week for about 30 minutes and doing that at a moderate intensity level. So that's kind of the gold standard recommendation of showing improvements both in physical and in emotional well-being.
And that 30 minutes, that's a great amount of time, because during the day, being virtual, it's a nice little window where you can kind of get up from your workspace, maybe just go for a brisk walk around the block. So 30 minutes, I think, is a doable amount of time.
Yes, we can find creative ways. I think COVID has allowed us to find creative ways to work that into our day now. So
Absolutely. And with all of the benefits and hope of sustaining, all of those benefits, do you have any recommendations of how people can continue to be physically active?
because I think that's one of the challenges is we know the benefits, we know the physical benefits, we may know the psychological benefits, but how do we go about actually doing it and sustaining being more physically active? And I do this with a lot of people every day, and I think there's 3 main things to think about when we start on this endeavor. One of the first things I tell people is you have to feel like you are in control. If you are told that you need to do this, I think it's harder to do it. If you're told that you need to do these specific exercises, do this much, this many times a day, and you don't feel like you're in control, I think you're less likely to be motivated to do it. Versus if you have, say, on the days that you're going to do it, the activities that you're going to do, how you're going to do them, when we have more control of it, we feel more motivated to do it. A second thing that helps improve motivation is this idea of relatedness. I think that's where when we do things for weight loss, it feels tough, is because we feel like we're an outsider. And so I feel different than other people. I feel unrelated. And so that's, I think, one of the challenges. But if you think about it in terms of being related to people, so doing it with friends, doing it as part of a group, and being involved with other people, that makes us more likely to stay motivated to be more physically active. And the last one is the one that I think is the most important, is we're more motivated when we're successful. I think sometimes we start out with these really grand plans, and sometimes they're too grand that we fail right away. And so it could be this idea of thinking where you want to go and starting with smaller phases to get to that point, acknowledging the small steps. But if you start too large, likely you're not going to be successful. And if we're not successful, it's hard to stay motivated. And so if you can think about ways to control the process, be related to other people, and be successful, especially early on, I think those are great ways to stay motivated throughout that journey.
Those are great tips, and that's a great point of not starting too large. I know even for myself personally, baby steps is where I find the most success, because you have to fit it into your schedule and find what works best for you. And sometimes in looking at other programs, you have to really tailor that for your lifestyle, and figuring out how that will be the most beneficial for you personally on your own journey. So that's a great reminder for everyone.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Myrvik, for these helpful ideas to stay motivated. Do you have any other recommendations for participants as our virtual Briggs and Al's Run and Walk is currently underway?
I think the big thing for everyone to think about in that process is, stay motivated. The process, even for, up and coming, but even long term, is remember the benefits. There's physical benefits, there's emotional and psychological well-being benefits, but then be in control, be a part of what you want to do, be a part of a group. It helps us be motivated, and think of ways to make yourself feel successful along that journey. And last of all, I think it's the most important one, have fun. I think that's one of the best pieces to remember.
That is key. We have to have fun. Absolutely. Yeah. Completely agree.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. And this has been a great conversation. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.